So you're probably curious which branch has the hardest PT test, and this might factor in to how physical you are before you're joining, or just if you want to compare in general. Stay tuned while we look at all 4 branches and what actually occurs during these. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to NickyMGTV for another video. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below if you do have questions, but make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, because obviously this is a huge ego boost if you're in one of the branches that has, quote, the hardest PT test out there. And obviously from all the fitness videos from Austin Alexander, copycats of Austin Alexander, also the video is kind of a copycat of the Christopher Chaos video. Give a shout out to him. He is donating all of his proceeds this month to a charity that is really generous of him. But Chris, your video is outdated. I'm telling you, buddy. Nicky's got you covered in 2020 on one of the best things that you could ever know, and that is what type of PT test you're going to be going up against. So because I am in the Navy, been in 12 years, had experience, and I also served with the Marine Corps, I've run more than just the Navy fitness test. But I'll tell you, the Navy fitness test, as you guys probably have seen in every Austin Alexander video, consists of 3 different exercises. This is going to include the push-ups.
Your butt down, you cannot do the downward dog. Once your back is straight, you must keep it straight the whole time. Full rep is down to 90 degrees.
This is also going to include sit-ups, but I will say, yes, the plank, there's no official grading yet for this part of the PT test. They have not talked about the minimum and maximum scores, and so that's why I'll just let you guys know right now it's sit-ups. No, there's no say when it's going to start at boot camp, as that question gets dropped every single time I ever discuss this. But I promise you guys will find out the first day it's announced that you're going to do planks. But for the official Navy fitness test, this is going to roll out the first part of next year for our fitness test. And also, we have a 1.5-mile run. Now, a lot of people look at this and they say that can't be too bad, but as somebody that has ran the Marine Corps PFT, I can tell you that it is more of a mixture between a jog and a sprint in between there. So it is definitely an endurance test in comparison, in my personal opinion. Navy does offer alternative cardio options, which include the bike, which is known to be very easy, and I've done it as well. I think it's easy to pass, hard to master. You can also swim, and that's 500 meters, by the way. And then you can also do the treadmill, but I don't know why you would do that. Just go run on the regular ground if that's the case. I've never known anyone that prefers the treadmill. And we recently got rid of the elliptical within the past year to 2 years. There are a lot of commands that do require everyone to run it in order to pass it and have to have some kind of medical waiver to do the other ones. I'm at a command that is like that right now, so we have to run it unless there is a reason for us not to. Then the Army actually did recently change their fitness test to the Army Combat Fitness Test, which is called the ACFT for short, and obviously it sounds like they copied the Marine Corps just between us, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, looking at this, they did previously have the 2-mile run, and they did push-ups and sit-ups, which was known to be their test since the 1980s, where that originated. They switched the ACFT because they needed to find more functional workouts that actually fit to the demands that a soldier might face while they are in combat. And so they've come up with 6 different movements, which have obviously captured that experience a lot greater. And obviously, I will tell you, just from watching everything they have to go through, this is very intense in comparison to what I was thinking their fitness test might be. I think it's actually harder than the last one, just from my personal opinion, even though I've not ran it yet or done it. But looking at these 6 different exercises they do, the first one is the 3 repetition max deadlift. You are able to get an extra attempt if you do not complete all 3 repetitions, and this is going to make sure that you guys are getting in there. I will say that I do appreciate the bars that they use for this, and that they are actually the neutral grip versus having them in front of you. I do like using those much more. The second one here is a standing power throw. Not really sure how this is actually in relation to, military stuff. I get it. They talk about how you may have to throw something or push a buddy up or anything like that. The only other comparison I can draw to this is actually the Naval Academy has a fitness test where you are required to throw a basketball, which is similar to this, but this is a 10-pound medicine ball, it looks like, and this is going to be thrown behind you where you're able to actually jump up and kind of throw it behind your head and use all of your body in order to do this. They have introduced the hand release push-up, which is going to include the full up and down position, meaning you will land on your stomach, put your arms out to your side, and put them back on the ground and plant them and push back up again. This is obviously, I would say, much harder than the regular push-ups that they had before. If you've ever had to do this, you're going to need to practice if you'd like to get better at these. I would say it's definitely much more difficult than continuing your movement through the range of motion, but I obviously think that they're looking to make this probably a little harder than the last time. The next is a sprint drag carry, which is the first part of this running, where it's a mixture between sprinting back and forth in these little side straddles that you're going to see here, and dragging the weight to and from the midpoint there. Now, looking at this, I will say that there's already running, but we're going to get to where that's kind of scary later here, and that's because they go to the leg tuck, which obviously is not a lower body exercise, but it sounds like from previous articles that were written about this when this ACFT first came out, there were a lot of females failing this portion of the test, where you are required to be on a pull-up bar and pull your legs up to where your thighs meet your elbows. And I'm sure there's some people that are lanky or, might be able to benefit from this more than others. But now the running part that I was talking about before is the 2-mile run that they still have to do after all these exercises or stations that they're required to go to. I do see that some people might burn themselves out on the sprinting portion. I'm not sure of the exact times between each evolution, but still, you're going to be maybe fatigued. So definitely I see this being a greater endurance exercise than what you might find in some of the other PT tests. Now we dive into the favorite Air Force, because you guys like to joke on them constantly because it's the Air Force. But looking at that, the Air Force actually has pretty much the same test as the Navy, but it's very different in one major aspect. So they still run the 1.5 miles, still do the sit-ups, and they also do the push-ups, but it's in a 1-minute time frame for the push-ups and sit-ups versus the Navy, where the push-ups and sit-ups are done in a 2-minute interval. Now looking at our toughest branch, as you guys probably are waiting for this part of the test or the part of the video, and that is the Marine Corps, the USMC, the Devil Dogs. We are going to say, why the Marine Corps, why you got to be different? You got to have some seasonal stuff. They like sleeves up, sleeves down, seasonal. Then you got a PFT, CFT. You got one season for that, one season for that. Now, some interesting stuff about the Marine Corps that I want to annotate before you even talk about it. I'm going to compare the Navy to them, because the Navy instruction actually requires you to run your 2 fitness tests a year on 2 separate occasions, at least 4 months apart. And that's for people that are in like Great Lakes, where they're going to have smaller windows that they are able to actually conduct those because snow, ice, inclement weather. The Marine Corps is different with their PFT, CFT. They have a 6-month window, and a lot of commands will allow you to run it all the way through and get a better score to increase it at any time. And so if you ran the PFT and you're up for promotion because their PFTs do count towards your advancement, you could continue to run that PFT to get that better, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Now, obviously, a lot of Marines are going to wait until the last minute. I work in medical, so I do know this. And I'm going to say as well that they can also run the CFT the other 6 months immediately after. So say you waited to the last minute for that PFT for the first 6 months, you can then also run the CFT very close after that. That's what I've heard from my Marines I've talked to, because I was like, so you could pretty much run it within like 2 months of each other. And they're, yeah, you could, and be done for the year. So, maybe you could turn it into like 1 month where you're super motivated, right? So the first thing here is the PFT, which is going to be kind of like their standard normal fitness test that you saw from the other branches. And I will give credit to the Marine Corps. They did conduct the combat fitness test first before every other branch. I think the Army really took from that. But looking at this, the PFT is actually going to include pull-ups, and that is either your hands facing away from you or towards you. You can actually switch during that movement, full up and down with fully locked out, and obviously not swaying, kipping, things like that. But also you're going to have the sit-ups. This is where it is very different than the Navy and the Air Force, because we do it like this over our chest, we touch our collarbone, whereas the Marines do it along their biceps here, which I believe is a lot easier because I have ran this test before. And the Army actually did it behind their head before they changed to the Army Combat Fitness Test. So there's been a lot of changes that are happening. Also, there is a 3-mile run, which people are like, whoa, Nicky, you're talking about 3 miles versus 1.5 versus the 2 with the Army. Yes, I would like to annotate there are a couple things the Marine Corps has done to adjust for issues, and that is, one, they are allowed to do the push-ups instead of the pull-ups, but you can max out the push-ups, but you're still not able to receive the maximum score from the push-ups. So if you want the full points, you have to do the pull-ups. So that's the incentive to keep you doing pull-ups. Also, you are now allowed to do the planks as well. And so I don't know how many people are actually doing that, because I think a lot of people, obviously for their own reasons, are going to like these sit-ups. But also, when you look at it, there is another option which typically needs a medical form to be signed, and that is to allow the rowing machine to be done for their cardio portion instead of the running. If you guys have never done a row machine, it is very difficult. I've tried to do it. It's not that easy. And I actually did forget this along with other things in this video. The Navy is actually rolling out the row machine as well as an option. I forgot to say that. Now, the last test that you're probably wondering about is the combat fitness test, which was known to be probably the hardest, but I actually found it to be the most fun. And I think it's not the easiest, but I would say it definitely is like spurts of movement, and it's more exciting than the rest. I don't want to go run 3 miles and be excited about that. So I do enjoy the CFT more because there is more variety, which I think is why I might like the Army CFT, or I said that wrong. The Army Combat Fitness, that's the ACFT. And that's because the first half of this is you running the 880-meter sprint, literally sprint, which is 2 laps around a track. Obviously, Air Force back in the day, you guys' tracks were measured pretty off. You guys remember that article? Yes, that's a true story. There were people that were running on incorrect sized tracks. People failed because of it, and guess what? People were kicked out because of it. And so, yeah, it was just tough luck. Air Force, hopefully they got their tracks together. I don't know. And this is a test that is not conducted in a PT uniform. As many of you guys have seen in the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army, they do it in their standard PT uniform, whereas the Marine Corps runs their green on green for the PFT, and CFT, they will be in boots and utes is what they call it, which is where you don't wear a blouse top. After that sprint, they do a ammo can lift or carry or overhead press, whatever you want to call it. But this test I actually do enjoy as well. I could see this being implemented into the Navy as far as their upper body strength, because there was a lot of criticism of almost 2 different plank variation exercises where you have planks and then you also have your push-ups as well. So we're ready to get those results out as to how that's actually going to occur, because a lot of us are going to be training for that evolution. Now, the last one here is a maneuver under fire. You have to do a fireman carry. You're going to throw a ball into a little circle, and if you don't, you miss seconds off of your score. And then on top of that, this part of the test I did hate because my quads were on fire. I will tell you this test, I will tell you this part of the test was very difficult for me in comparison to the rest. But as always, I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think about the fitness test. Think of all these different changes between the Army Combat Fitness Test, planking, and things like that. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on these topics, because obviously there are opinions around this that bring up for great debate as far as health, exercise, strengthening, mobility, and also being ready to fight the war. So as always, if you do have questions, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.